Okay, welcome to another NewZona review. NewZona review. Alright, today what I have for you to show is the HX Outdoors ZD-031. What a great name. Just an awesome name. But anyway, here it is. Pow. Let's get it in frame there. And it's filthy dirty. Let me clean this off just a little bit here. Kind of an S-shaped pattern. You guys kind of see how that goes. Kind of an S-shaped deal there. I ordered this from GearBest, so it came on a slow boat from China. Took about 3 weeks to arrive. This isn't one of the super cheap knives. This is one of the a little bit pricier knives. I paid about well, it was during that big sale that GearBest has, you know, kind of like the Amazon Prime Day, kind of like that. GearBest has a similar thing before Amazon, trying to beat them out or whatever it is. So I got this for $28 on that big sale, and it got here. Wasn't really expecting, you know, a ton, but I was pleasantly surprised when I got this knife, and want to talk about it. It's D2 steel, and I do believe that this is in fact D2 steel. It shows all the signs of being D2 steel. I don't know how well you can see that, but this isn't a mirrored polish edge. You know, just like D2, it's kind of a, you know, kind of a rougher grind. It is two-tone. It's got a little bit of a bead blast here, satin finish here, which those are my favorite knives. I prefer satin knives. I don't like knives that have finishes on them. I don't like painted finishes. I mean, they're not my preference. I don't like them as much. I personally, this is another personal preference, and I know it differs from a lot of people. I like big knives. I like knives that are larger. So I usually carry a bigger knife. I live in Arizona, so there's no law against any knife. I can carry anything I want. So I do. I do carry larger knives because of that. So let's go ahead and take some measurements on this, and you know, kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at here. From the tip of the blade to, I would say that's a 3.5-inch blade right there, and of course the cutting edge, because it swoops up, you know, it's got a little bit more cutting edge than that. I would say from the tip of the blade to the edge of the handle is 8-inch and an eighth, so it's 8 and an eighth. In the back it's about a 1/2 inch, and in the front slightly less than a 1/2 inch towards the grip. Okay, so the grip area, we're looking at 4 inches or so. It looks like about yeah, it looks about 4 inches. So the overall design of the knife, you know, the S shape with the slightly upswept curve of the blade, I really like that. I'm really appreciating that quite a bit. When I go to cut things, you know, and I like to be able to rock the blade, you know, like this. I like to cut through stuff like that. I'll rock a blade, like if I'm going to cut through some rope, for instance, or paracord or something like that. I like to push down on the front and then kind of rock back. That's kind of how I like to do. So I do appreciate an upswept blade, as long as it's not, you know, a Persian you know, style blade. I don't really appreciate you know, that kind of thing. The knife has a lanyard hole in the back for those of you that like to put decoration on the back of your knives. So it does in fact have that. It did come from the factory very sharp. I feel like I've used this knife a lot, you know, because I had to break down some Amazon boxes, and I have whittled some wood with it, did some wood whittling. Just a 2x4 as a matter of fact, more of a condensed wood. And this blade is really sharp still, and it's kind of a, for lack of a better description, it's kind of a toothy edge, but it's very sharp. It cuts really well. Let's compare it to some other things for size comparison. Here we go. There's that knife. There's it compared to Smith & Wesson Shield 40 caliber. Let's see here. Here's it compared to the what is this? Rake P108. There's a Rake P108 that I had laying around. Here is on my person that I'm carrying right now. This here is the Ganzo. I've had this knife for a long time now. I just put a new edge on it. That's why I started carrying it. I just you probably already know that if you watch my videos. But yeah, I just sharpened this up. Been abusing the crap out of this knife. This is a Ganzo 729. So there's that. And let's see here. Here's a Sog Power-Lock in stainless. There you go. Sog Power-Lock right there. So let's move some of these over here like this. So there you go. And then how about another Sog? This is the Sog Power-Assist in black. As you can see, this is a black finish Sog with the assisted blades, which is, kind of nice. That's kind of a neat feature on a multi-tool. I still say these are the best multi-tool for the money. Still to this day, you cannot go wrong with one of these Sogs, because, just real quickly, I know this is off topic, but when it comes to multi-tools, the most important part of a multi-tool is the pliers. That's why they call them multi-plier. And you just can't get a better plier than a Sog. And these are cheaper than your Leatherman counterparts, okay? So let's go ahead and close up some of these blades as to not have an accident. You do not want to have any accidents on camera, especially. Holy smokes, never let that down. Here it is compared to a standard small banana. You can see that it is a much larger knife than a small banana. And here it is next to your standard 16-ounce Diet Pepsi. Here's it compared to a Baofeng ham radio. Those of you that into ham radio, there it is compared to a Baofeng. Okay, so enough of the comparisons. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Now, this knife has a lot of really expensive features, and for a knife that cost me 28 bucks, and I'm really blown away by it. I know that there is some controversy about whether or not these Chinese knives actually have D2 steel, and I think it's a case-by-case basis. I recently watched a video where a guy said, a reviewer of a knife said that he had a buddy who is in the metallurgy field. That's what his field was. And he gave him a few of these Chinese knives that claim to be D2 steel, because we all wonder, right? We all want to know. And he said that the first knife that they tested, they've only tested one knife so far, according to what he said, and that knife did not come back as D2 steel. It came back as A2 steel, which is, maybe in China, A2 and D2 are really similar, in that really squiggly writing, that really like hieroglyphic writing. Maybe they look exactly the same. So the difference between A2 and D2, if you got a knife for 15 bucks and it's A2 steel, that's still tool steel, I'm not going to be too pissed off about that. But I can't be 100% sure that this is D2, but I think it is. It acts like D2. And a lot of videos that I've watched recently on D2 steel, because I was trying to up my game on my knowledge, and a lot of people are like, hey, I've done a test, saltwater test, and the steel didn't rust like I felt it would. Now, I am not a scientist, but near as I can figure, D2 steel will rust more so than like a more high-end stainless steel, but not by much. You know what I mean? It's not like a drastic difference in most cases. That's just my opinion for whatever it's worth. I mean, I've had other D-steel knives, and I don't find them to be rust prone. I don't oil them. Like if I do any oiling at all, I'll just throw some mineral oil on there or something like that. But only when I'm cleaning it or something. I mean, I don't make it a big deal. I still cut food with it. I will still cut anything that I want with it, and I don't baby it, and I've never had a rust issue with D2 steel. So I don't know. That's neither here nor there. I don't think that you can conclusively slap some salt water down on some random knife and that if it doesn't rust, then it's automatically not D2 steel. Now, if it's a lower end Chinese knife that you got for between $10 and $15 and it says that it's D2 steel, well, then it's probably not. That's probably not the case. I would say you have to get up to the $35, $40 range before you can reasonably be getting what they say you're getting. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Now back to the knife after the sidetrack of the actual steel discussion. I'm actually going to test this a little bit further to see if this still performs and acts like D2 steel. I'm going to do that rope test that's so famous on the internet. The Sisal rope cut test. I ordered some Sisal rope. Of course, I can't get the exact same rope because that dude is in Australia. So I did the best I could, and the 10 millimeter rope that he uses there, well, we don't use the metric system here in America. So, I did the best I could to get as close to the same rope or the similar rope, but it should give us some sort of idea. So I'm going to do a cut test on this knife, so stay tuned for that. I'll cut some rope and we'll see if it matches up to what he gets with D2 or thereabouts, give or take. So that being said, this knife it's really impressive. Really impressive in the fact that it's got a skeletonized liners. Let me see if I can get in there to where you guys can see that. Okay. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that because my camera. Okay, there you go. See, it's got skeletonized liners. Hopefully that's focusing well enough. I'm still trying to get used to this new camera, guys, so I apologize if that's not in focus. But, oh, forgot. There it is to my current EDC flashlight. Okay, so it's got some skeletonized scales, and what is really impressive about this knife is the attention to detail on it. All of the edges are knocked off. They're all rounded off. There's no sharp edges anywhere like you normally get with a Chinese made knife. Everything is chamfered and rounded off. I mean, every edge everywhere. There's no hot spot anywhere. The pocket clip, I feel, is pretty rock solid. I mean, it's nice and springy. It's got the correct hook, and then back down, it slides in and out of your pocket like a mamba jamba. Yeah, it's I mean, it's really impressed, you know, really impressive in the machining department. And I am a former machinist, so like I noticed these kind of things, like these attention to detail, like the jimping on the top of the handle right here, where you kind of press your thumb down when you want to bear down on something, is just, I think it's just as perfectly done as you can get. It's not so much that it hurts your thumb, but I mean, it really does solidly catch your thumb. The blade stock is nice and wide in the back, and it's got a chamfer that is different size the whole way down the blade. Let me see here. See if you can see that. It's a different thickness all the way the full length of the blade. Now that's not like super easy to do. Take it from me. I mean, it starts back here, and it's a different thickness. I mean, that really adds to the aesthetics of the knife, in my opinion. The tip is very well done, and one of the things that's a really nice touch is this. The lock is rounded off slightly, so there's no sharp edge, and you can get your thumb in there and catch that really, really well. I mean, that's just a really nice touch that, you know, every one of these things costs money. The lockup, I would say, is about 40%. Blade centering is, let me see if I can show you that. Blade centering is pretty spot on. Pretty spot on blade centering. And this thing has ceramic bearings with a really strong detent. You can't for the life of you flick this blade out to save your life. It doesn't come out, but the actual working of the knife is smooth as butter. It makes this like swoosh sound when the blade comes out on those ceramic bearings. It's just a super smooth knife, and the lockup is solid. I mean, it's 100% even without using your wrist. Boom! I mean, it just flings out like a machine gun. Flings out like a machine gun. You guys know what I mean. Shut up. Anyway, so it really rocks out there nice and solid, man. And it's real nice. And another nice touch is this is really something. Hopefully I can show you this and do it justice. This blade has a hook on the back of the blade, and when you the blade comes back to lock up, it looks like it impacts this lockback stud, but it doesn't. It just, I mean, it's got to be like 1/1000th of an inch, just grazes right over the top of it. Let me see if I can show you. It just barely misses it, like by 1/1000th of an inch or something, and it's kind of a hook, and the hook goes over the top of this lockback stud, and I mean, it just causes this blade to, I'm telling you, man, it is locked up hard. And I really appreciate that quite a bit, man. That is some extra machining that you don't normally see. Normally you see a pin that they put through the blade, and it kind of rides back on a metal slot. I don't know, like this knife. This knife has that, as a matter of fact. It's a pin, and the pin rides back on this slot, and then when it gets to where the blade is supposed to stop, that pin stops on that slide. This is a different setup that is just, I really like it. I mean, and you can tell the difference. And then where the lock bar locks up on the blade is machined just beautifully. I mean, you don't see this in cheap knives. I mean, if you're an American knife manufacturer now, you have to be crapping bricks, man. They are really doing some amazing work on these Chinese knives. Like this knife, without a doubt, feels like a much more expensive knife than it is. It's really great. I don't know what else I can say about it. I also want to mention that that I just started doing these knife things because I'm kind of a knife enthusiast. I wouldn't say that I'm a full-on knife bro, but I'm a knife enthusiast. I've always liked knives. I have a bunch of knives, and some of these knives I just want to show you. I didn't see any videos for this knife out there. I saw, actually, I take that back, I saw one. Yeah, so I wanted to show it to you. I guess the only thing that I can gripe about with this knife that is not quite perfect is that the sharpening of the knife is ever so slightly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to focus that in, but it's slightly off on one side. I mean, it's slightly more ground at a higher angle on one side than the other side. It's not a big deal. I mean, for a $40 knife or a $30 knife, it's totally excusable. I mean, but it comes from the factory like crazy sharp, and you guys are just gonna have to take my word for it. There's plenty of people out there, cutting. Well, crap. I'll grab something. Hold on a second. Stay right there. Okay guys, pardon moi. I had to step away from the table to go grab some paper. I suck at this paper thing, but I mean, I am telling you, this knife just gives me wood, man. I am talking, I am like seriously chubbed up. You guys get chubbed up? I get chubbed up. That is insane. And I've been using the piss out of this thing. I'll just get rid of that real quick. Anyway, so you can see this knife is holding an edge like a mamba jamba. Okay, here's some hot pink. Here's some hot pink paracord here. Let's just see if it'll cut this. Ah, like butter. Like butter, more better butter. Alright, so let's see. How does it do if we make it even more difficult here? What if we... So there's a whole bunch of paracord right there. I'm not sure how many strands that is. See if I can get the knife in there, right? Okay, so check this out. Dude, I'm telling you, this is a sharp knife. Highly recommend it. And I am not affiliated with GearBest in any way. I do not get any money if you buy this knife. I'm just showing you the knife. It's a knife that I bought. I carry, it's in my rotation. I like it a lot. It weighs just under 5 ounces, by the way. Forgot to mention that. It weighs just under 5 ounces, so it's not a light knife. It's 4.8 ounces, at least on my scale. My scale might be slightly read slightly light. So let's say that you can expect this knife to be about 5 ounces, right in that neighborhood there. So it's a little bit bigger knife. It's a little heavier. It's definitely noticeably heavier than this one. It's definitely noticeably heavier than this one. It's definitely heavier than the banana. Yeah, guys, I think that this is a home run right here, man. If you like Chinese knives that you want to beat up and see what you can do to them, I would say that this is a home run. I would fire up the slow boat from China and get yourself one of these for sure. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was entertaining, and I will catch you on the next one on that end.